So I put in my 30 days notice. Shortly after that, I said, I just can't do this. I'm spending all night in the police department, in the mental health unit. I can't go to work. I'm getting called from work. I have to take FMLA to take off from work. She goes and lives with her biological mom's sister, so her aunt, and she stays there for a while. She ends up coming back to us. Biological aunt has a hard time with the behaviors as well, and then eventually they find a place for her in a treatment home. That's more of a group home facility. Who's cut out for more extreme behaviors like that. A lot of firsts with that first group of kiddos. A lot of firsts. So, still think about them all the time. For years, we do Christmas presents and bring them over, check on them. They went back to mom after about a year, probably like 13 or 14 months in out-of-home care. They went back to mom. Mom was able to do whatever it is that the county wanted her to be able to do to improve her situation at home. Very proud of her. Why do I do this? Why, after that first experience, why would I do it again? I think in my head I was thinking, well, it can't get much worse than that. So there was some movement with those kids. The boys went and lived with an uncle for a while. We kept the youngest for the entire time. She was with us for the full little over a year. The 5-year-old boy came back at one point. They were able to place the 12-year-old boy in a different home with some other boys his age. We found out that the kids did much better split up. They still got to see each other at visits, but their behaviors were much more manageable when they didn't have each other to trigger those behaviors. Biggest takeaway. Yes, it's nice to keep the siblings together, but sometimes they shouldn't be together. They need time to heal separately. As long as they're able to communicate with each other and see each other, talk to each other. It was before Zoom. So staying in touch was a little bit more difficult, but it's got to be a lot easier now. Why did I do it? So then things quieted down once I only had, one, sometimes two. So we said, let's take some more. So we opened up our license again. And we'd always sign up to be emergency placements. So children would come into care, not during normal working hours, right? As they would be in an emergency at night, or they'd be removed by the police overnight, or for whatever reason. So we signed up to be emergency care placement takers. And the idea behind being an emergency placement is that you will be open to take that child immediately without knowing much about them. But they'll try and find a more permanent place for them. The idea is that they'll go to a different foster home after we get to learn a little bit about them and things like that. So not once did an emergency placement come into our home. that we let go to a different family. They train you that the more placements a child has to go through, the harder it is for them. So here I am thinking, well, I can't damage them more. I'll just keep them. It was like some creepy lady collecting children. It was so we took in kids after kids after kids. I'd be reading on our Facebook group for our county where everybody would talk. And they're always talking about grieving and how do you grieve the loss of a foster child. And I'm going, grief? I just get another kid. I don't have time for grieving. After a while, we started some projects and kind of closure items. We did concrete handprints with their name and the year that they stayed, and then big gardeners. So I put them out in the garden side, kind of have like, it's like creepy. It's like a little cemetery of all these little kids. But man, there was a year where it was just like kid after kid after kid, and we'd have 5 kids in the home on an average. Kids would be coming, kids would be going, they'd be saying hi to each other, they'd be saying bye to each other, getting them established in school, daycare. Needless to say, I ended up quitting my job. I quit my job because the kids needed me at home. I just kept doing it. It was filling something in my soul, in my heart, to meet the needs of these children. It was a challenge. Every child was new. There was no repetition. I was learning on my feet, using every tool in my toolbox. I learned so much. I learned so much just through the experience. Hardest thing I have ever done. But I look back on it and I am so glad that I did, because I can just, it sounds cocky to say, but all those kids that came into our home, we made a positive experience available for them. They have something they took from us that I hope they will always remember. That they can look back and think, somebody loved me. Somebody cared for me. Maybe when they have children of their own, they'll remember what it was like when I took care of them, and they'll think, I want to be a mommy like her. Or I want to be a daddy like him. Get out of the cycle that they're born into. I wanted to change the world. Mother Teresa said, if you want to change the world, start by loving your family. That sounds like a good spot to stop for today. Love your family.